All right, we're live. Tapping Birdie. We're back, and we're not better than ever. We're worse than ever. But it's okay. It's all right. I'm joined with my good friend Adam, also known as DG Betting. Adam, how you doing tonight?
Doing great. Glad that I'm here for the what's it been 2-3 weeks since TIB's hit the airwaves.
Yeah, no TIV for the last 2 weeks. It's been hurting my ranking in like golf podcasts in Switzerland, which is a little upsetting. But it's okay. It's part of the business. Kind of like Rory, sometimes you got to take time and just kind of focus on yourself. I've been kind of burning myself at both ends, and I just couldn't bring myself to talk about golf for an hour on a podcast. So I decided to take a nice 2 week break.
Yeah, we all need time to put our feet up at times, and now you're queued up. We've got Wells this week, designated event. We've got Byron Nelson next week, which is not a designated event, but the Cage Leaf special. We'll see if he can make it 3 in a row. So we've got something exciting there, and then right here in our great state of New York, the
Yeah.
championship. So gotta be
No,
rested.
like the golf, there's not a bad golf tournament until after the Travelers. Like every single golf tournament from now until late June will be good. This is a really great stretch of golf. Like there's the two worst events will be Byron and Colonial, and I don't really expect those to be like awful fields. But it's just good tournament after good tournament coming up. So there'll be no break soon. I don't really envision not doing a pod for John Deere or like 3M or Rocket. So that little 2 week break after RBC, I think the PGA Tour needs it. I think it's at a really good spot, and I enjoyed my time off. Did not hit any winners in that 2 week span. We're down pretty bad in the gambling streets, but it's okay. This is what happens when you like gamble, like for not a living, but like it's part of your personality.
Yeah, but to be fair, you did through 36 holes last week at the Korea Championship have 1-2 on the leaderboard,
Yeah.
2-man card. So trending in the right direction. TIB's back. Like I think things are looking positive.
Yeah, no, I we're fully into the DP World Tour. I am now convincing myself that I know what I'm talking about and that like I can see things in these DP World Tour golfers and now betting them. And, there was a certain point in my life where I would just tell your card and, at no fault of your own, like, we kind of had some differences about Yanni P. And like sometimes you just got to bet who your heart wants you to bet. So the Yanni P, he's one of my dogs. He is a grinder. He's a top 10 golfer in the world. And like, I just love Yanni P. So, that will be towards the back half of the pod. Are you down to talk some Italian Open at Marco Simone Golf Club?
I would say I'm almost more excited to talk Italian Open than Wells Fargo. I do want to point out that you're claiming Yanni P as your guy. Of the two people on this podcast, I am the only one who has cashed him outright on Mr. Yannick Paul. But I think that's fair. You're more committed to him at this point of his career, and so I'm willing to give you.
I mean, cashing a ticket on like just a fucking loser there's nothing better. Like there is nothing better than cashing an outright ticket on someone that doesn't win golf tournaments. Is that his only DP World Tour win?
Yeah, and
he's won one time.
He's won one time, and he pretty much blew it. And then Armitage hit an OB on like a pretty simple par 5 to hand it back to him. But we'll talk DP at the end, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, I'm excited.
Are not interested.
I am excited for that. Last week we had the Mexico Open. I kind of want to do like kind of like a State of the Union on Big Tone. I have been like kind of vocal and just like kind of taking some jabs at Tone. With his wins recently. And I think a lot of it stems from me and you kind of betting him a lot at the beginning of the year and like real elevated, like good golf tournaments, and him just like absolutely shitting all over himself and like never putting himself in contention and not being the golfer that like we know he is. And when you watch him play Mexico Open or you watch him at the Houston Open or like 3M or Rocket, you're like, there is literally not a better golfer in the world than Tony Finau. Like, long and straight off the tee, like unbelievable iron player, like truly one of the best iron players on tour, makes every single putt, gets up and down from everywhere. And it's like, yo, like I want to see this in a major or an elevated event. And I think that kind of where the frustration come from, because he was never in contention once during this year until he got to the Mexico Open. So it's just kind of tough to deal with.
Yeah. And I mean, I think I was on here for Riviera, and we had a long conversation about Tony, and we were trying to convince ourselves that he's a big game hunter. And I tweeted, it was probably meaner than it needed to be, but I said that this is his fourth Korn Ferry Tour win since July of last year. And yeah, Rahm was in the field, and he definitely, played nicely on Sunday to beat Rahm. Not that Rahm on Sunday was anywhere close to his best, and Scheffler was in the field at the Houston Open, and Cantlay was there in Detroit. So there have been one or two good players in the fields that he's won in, but it's not the depth of the field that there are in these designated events. So like some people, I think, were arguing that we should count it more because he beat someone like Rahm, or Scheffler was at the Houston Open. Any top player playing against one or two or three of the other top players theoretically has a good chance to win in that situation. And Finau's plus 800 going into this week. Like, it's a two-man race. And so until he does it and competes in one of these designated events with a depth of players, because then there's more guys who can pop on any given week and challenge near the top of the board, it's just tough to know what to say, really. It's because it doesn't make sense.
There's no.
He was so consistent too this year. He's top 31, I think, in every single event. So it's just like it doesn't make a lot of sense. There is no reason in the entire world that Tony Finau couldn't have not won one of Farmers, Waste, and Genesis. There's no reason in the world where he cannot contend at those events. He's contended at those events before. He's obviously an extremely talented golfer. So I think it's just a little bit frustrating to not see it in these elevated events, majors. I know you bet him at the Masters. I know we talked about it. Like, do you think that there's any value in Finau in the major futures market right now? Like, do you think that his talent and what he's done so far this year could see him be a one-time major winner this year? So you talked me out of betting him at the Masters. I was going to bet him at the Masters, and you were texting about it, and I didn't. But I probably would have if you didn't talk me out of it. But I think it wasn't surprising at all. As soon as Finau is in the position like he was in Mexico, we start seeing the tweets about like 35-1, 50-1, 45-1, whatever it may be at the majors coming up. And you look at the venues, I think, and probably the PGA lines up best for his skill set, the way he's currently playing. But I think it's the much easier thing to say that no, he's not going to win a major this year or come very close to winning a major. I think that is the logical side of the argument. And I don't know that there's a price that we'll realistically see on him at a major that would entice me, I guess. I think he'll probably be, I don't know what the exact futures on him are right now, but probably under 50-1. And I think realistically, when you look at his track record in majors of late and just the players that you have to beat to win a major, I highly doubt he'll be on a card for me this year. I guess that's
I think I'm kind of in the same boat. And again, like Tony Finau is a much better man than me. Like, character. Sure. Like, he is an awesome guy. I love him. Like, he is great. Like, I really have no qualms with him as a person. Not that I have many qualms with many PGA Tour people like as a person, but like I don't want it to seem like I'm like shitting on Tony or like I think he's like a loser or something. Like he's an amazing guy. He's a role model for a lot of people, and I just want to see him win a designated event slash major. Like I want that for him, and I think that it will be really good for his career when people look back on it.
What is the level? Let's go step below major, and obviously there's the designated events as well, and that'd be a good next a step in the right direction. But what if he won like a colonial? That's a step above
Yeah.
some of the events that he's been playing. He's played well there previously. Like, is there a middle ground win that Tony can pick
Yeah.
up, like that would build his credibility with you going forward? That's not a major or a like serious designated event. Is there any middle ground, or does it have to be one of those for him?
No, I think like it can't be like Rocket or 3M. Like I think it had because there's really no like yeah, I think if you won like a Valspar Colonial type, like I think that's fine. Like that is totally 1000% like fine. Like I think that kind of like, puts the haters to rest a little bit, but it just he has the talent. There's no debate about it in the world that he has the talent to win a major or win an elevated event. I just kind of want to see it from him. I'm sure he'll be a popular selection at the PGA because I'm sure it's a great golf course for him, and there he has no real faults in his game. But yeah, I'm happy that Tone won. Even like had the right idea, like in the betting without market, and John Rahm won that too. So I just can't escape John Rahm right now. Like he's just winning. Even the markets I think are like a sneaky play. Rahm's just winning those too. So it's been a little rough, but it's okay.
His Rahm's round on Saturday. Like I know it's the Mexico Open. I know it's an easy course, but like it was just for not winning the Mexico Open, which he should at plus 250 or plus 300 or whatever he was. It was just like one of the best rounds I've watched this whole year. Just so dialed, and it was obviously nowhere near as impressive as winning a major or his other wins this year. But just watching it, it was up there of watching him this year when I was just like, this guy is so fucking good at golf.
Yeah.
It's a joke.
I'm like a little bit worried about Salih's prediction that he could win the Grand Slam this year. Like he's not that far off. I really do think John Rahm has a chance to win another major this year. Like I don't think that there's any sort of debate in anyone's mind. Like he's going to be a tough man to beat anytime he tees it up, which is not ideal for golf betting. But that's just kind of the state that we are in right now. That's just kind of what you're gonna have to deal with. He's currently like 7.5. I was just looking at the PGA odds. He's like 7.5 to 1. Scotty's 9, and Rory is 10. I think that's a decent transition into Wells this week because the favorite Rory McIlroy, 3-time winner at this event, wins every time he tees it up on a Foz. Like it sounds dumb, but like I really think that like I could just as easily see Rory missing the cut this week as I can see him winning this week. And I think people want to bet Rory at the PGA Championship, and it's like I think there's a decent case to be made that taking the 10 to 1 right now isn't a bad move at all, in my opinion, because if he even sniffs contention and finishes in the top 5, which he seems to do here in his sleep, his odds are just going to be slashed again for the PGA Championship. So it's just a little bit interesting to me, Rory's PGA odds right now.
I think he could do anything this week. He could win by 25 shots, or he could miss the cut by 25 shots. And I don't remember the exact number. It's something like 30-something consecutive majors that he has not won.
Yeah.
And like, I said this before the Masters, like I'm not making this up. The texts are there that I would have priced him at 20 to 1 at the Masters. And I just think like, yeah, the PJ is going to be a great setup for him. I know his history there. He like is a member there, plays there all the time or something along those lines. And I would already say I'm out, and there's nothing that he's going to do this week to like change my opinion on that. Like
Yeah.
him in the majors at this point for me is like I got to see it. I'll be happy when it happens.
Yeah.
It's going to be cool, but like I'm not going to be on board.
Yeah, I know we were talking before. Like I do not come on my pod and say like I think the favorite's gonna win. Like I have self-respect. Like, you know, like I don't say those things. But I'm really scared of Rory McIlroy this week at 7-1, 8-1, whatever you could get him at. I just look at what he's done in the past 2 years coming into events where people think he sucks, and he just wins. Like after the Ryder Cup, like had a horrible performance, 20-1 at the CJ Cup. Another Foz goes out and wins. The year before that, he miscut at the Masters, like exact same situation as this year, and goes out and wins the Wells Fargo. So I actually usually come on my pod and like guarantee that Scotty's not going to win the Masters. Great call by me, by the way. But I'm scared of Rory because for the fact that he always scares me when people think he sucks and they're out on him. I know you're not as high on him this week, but I just want to put it out there. I really do think Rory is like very much so, very live to win this tournament, and I wouldn't be surprised if he did it.
Yeah, and I'll back you up on the fact that you do usually say the favorite has no chance of winning, and you do usually not come on the pod and say like, oh, that guy could win. So I in fact, it makes me a little bit more concerned hearing your level of concern about it. That being said, because if you say he's not going to win, your track record of guys not winning is pretty good. It'd make me feel a little bit more comfortable.
Except for Corey at
Valera.
I said he can't win, so that was a tough one to swallow there. But other than that, it's decent.
And I think the thing with Rory is you look at the wins that he's had here, all of them have been solid putting performances. Like he's going to show up here and gain ball striking almost guaranteed. Like it would be shocking if he didn't gain solidly with his ball striking. But even doing that, he does that pretty much every single time he tees it up here. All of his wins have still been on the back of reasonably solid putting efforts. This isn't like a course where he's showing up and just dominating tee to green and winning losing strokes putting. Like even when he wins, there's success with the putter. And he has been struggling with the putter recently, but again, he's overcome that at this course. He showed up, I think it was maybe the 2015 win, like he wasn't putting well coming in that week, showed up and gained on these greens. So he loves these greens. He can overcome that. It's just, there's the additional piece of uncertainty this week, I think, of just like why he skipped RBC and then he's not on the interview schedule, which is kind of interesting because you just historically, when there has been something Rory needs to talk about or like there's questions for Rory, I can't think of a time where he hasn't done a press conference. And so now we're, getting into the realm where outside of like the stats, which is where I like to operate, and it's all, we're just guessing. But I was genuinely surprised to see him not on the interview schedule this week. What was your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I mean, he did like a quick interview with like Todd Lewis, and I think he said what I think people expected him to say, was that he just needed some time off and he was going through a lot and he just wasn't right mentally. So he skipped the RBC, which I am totally on board with. Like, I really have no like problem with that. I think if it was any other golfer, there would be no controversy. But I just think the way he's carried himself since Live, like, I just think it's a little bit tough where he's kind of the one championing all this. But at the same time, like, he was penalized. It wasn't like there's, no repercussions for what happened. So I do like that aspect of it. He's going to be a hard man to beat this week. And I really do think that any sort of form, like, they're just going to slash his odds this week. And I really don't see a world in which I don't see him finishing T30. Like, I think most people would agree with that. He's either going to contend or he's just like going to miss the cut. So it will be interesting to see. Next guy, the consensus favorite other than the big three this week is Patrick Cantlay. He's been playing unbelievable golf. I know you like him this week. What is the case for Cantlay? He's a he's a big topic of conversation in our group chat. So I'm curious to see what made you pull the trigger on Patty Ice this week.
So I would say there's nothing statistically that I could say about Cantlay that will really tell the story. Like, everybody knows that Cantlay's been playing great golf. He drives the ball really straight and really far, and he's driving it better than he ever has before. And like, these type of venues have a similar feel to some of the BMW venues, where it's just kind of massive courses, tee it up, hit it as far as you can, big greens, and roll in putts. And that has been the part over these last few weeks that's been holding him back. Obviously, he hasn't quite had those spike putting performances that he has had previously, but he was, I think, 7th in the field in putting at RBC. And he's tended, like, if you look at his track record, when he gets it going with the putter, he tends to, like, it kind of kicks off a run where he puts reasonably well. So that stuff, I think everybody knows, and I'm excited about that. But like, this is dead serious. I've for a long time disliked his caddy partnership. Like, everybody knows obviously how slow he plays. And one of the reasons he plays so slow is because he's like thinking about so much shit and talking about so much stuff. And like, we've heard him do interviews, like, there's lots of stuff going on in the mind of Patrick Cantlay. And again, this is from my outside perspective. If you just watch, his caddy just kind of stands there and, you know, listens to it, just takes it all in, and Cantlay kind of does whatever the fuck he wants. Getting a caddy on the bag like LaCava, who's caddied for Tiger, and other great players who can really kind of help direct him in his efforts, I'm excited about that. And I was on the fence about him this week, and I'm not going to lie that change genuinely had an impact on my thinking about his chances this week, because I really do like the partnership. And we've seen, you know, somewhat recently, a guy like Zalatoris at the FedEx, we've seen those things have a legitimate impact. And so that's I'm excited about that, both this week and going forward. I think that changes the narrative on Cantlay in the majors the rest of this season as well.
Yeah, I mean, I tweeted it. I was like, this is massive. Like, this is like a massive deal. Like, you don't, and that was like I remember randomly like Google searching Cantlay's caddy, because I'm like, who is this guy? Like, no one knows who he is. He's been on the bag for a really, really long time. Like, they had a really long partnership. So to just kind of get rid of a guy like that and then get Tiger's old caddy, like, that's a really big story in like kind of the world of like golfers and caddies. So I got a DM before from someone, and I'm not going to say I did all this work, but you know, this is just what I am seeing. Scheffler's first round with Ted Scott, he shot a 63 at the RSM Classic. Rahm with Hayes shot -6 in round 1 of the Fortinet with an ace and a top 10 finish in 2016. Tom Kim and Joe Scav, they fucked at the President's Cup, and then Tom Kim won at the Shriners. Cam Young Tesori, he shot a front 929 in match play, and then Willsey obviously won at Memphis with.
And I think Cam Young had a different new caddy at St. Andrews. I think that was a new caddy as well.
Okay, I mean, I'm not going to bet a first round leader. It's too short for me to bet first round leader, and there's no Cantlay's not a first round leader guy. No. When has Cantlay ever been first round leader? He's never been first round leader. I can't remember a single time. I think Cantlay's a great bet. I'm not betting it, but I think it's a good bet, and I think that the new caddy is definitely reason to put you over the edge, and I think that's a good bet. Finau, we're out on. He's not winning. Easiest cross off of all time. Like, that's an easy one. Xander, I think Xander's kind of in the range of, I mean, 70-1, not horrible, but in the range of makes all the sense in the world, playing unbelievable golf, no faults in his game. This should be a great course for him. But I just think that with all the options in the 20s, that people are just not going to bet Xander because he is below 20-1, and you could get your favorite golfers at much better prices. So I'm, for that reason, out on Xander. I'm not betting Xander. He's playing unbelievable. I think he fits into the bucket of it's crazy what Scotty and Rahm have done, because this entire field is playing unbelievable golf with no wins, like barring a few people. Cantley, Xander, Young, Spieth, Hovland, Morikawa. All those guys are playing unbelievable golf, but without the wins. So I think that a lot of people just kind of want to chase that, but there's a great case to be made for really all of those guys.
Let's do of the guys you just listed,
Yeah.
the most likely who's not winning the most of. I can't remember exactly the players you just listed, but let's list them off again, and you can start with
Colin. Okay, who is not winning the most? So I'll go Colin as not winning the most out of those three. Xander second, and then I bet Cam Young, and I'm debating between Spieth or Hovland. So I can't give a fair read, but definitely Xander and Colin are not winning out of that group. And the next three probably won't win either, but I give them a little bit of shot. Do you have a ranking out of those five?
I think I pretty much agree with that. Like, gave Colin basically no look this week. Like, when you look at the things that matter here, distance and putting, those are not what he does well. So yeah, sure, he could play well, and we know Colin can pop, but it was a pass for me.
Yeah.
Xander, with still not driving it as well as he's like been over since the back injury, like he's not driving well, so I kind of passed on him. The rest of them, Cam, Spieth, and Hovland, I gave the closest. I was really close on both Cam and Spieth. I would say it wasn't that close on Vic, purely on the can Vic win a big event vibe was my pass on Vic. Nothing in the stats really, but Spieth, as you know, is a tough one for me.
Yeah, why do you want Spieth? Because I have to make a decision, Spieth or Hovland. I'm going to bet one of those guys at 20-1. You have bet Spieth twice this year, and he easily could have had 2 wins. And everyone knows that bets on golf. When you're in that kind of situation and you're betting on a guy and he's close, you can't miss the win. But you feel comfortable not betting Jordan this week. So what is the case against Jordan?
It's honestly less a case against Jordan and more that like I didn't want to bet both Cantlay and Spieth, and I felt better about Cantlay. I definitely am terrified of missing out on Spieth's win. Like, RBC was not the worst loss I've ever had, but like
not even the worst loss you ever had at the RBC Heritage.
No, I don't think it was. When he was chipping towards the water on 14, I was like, it's in the water for sure 2 years in a row. Then Cantlay chipped in the water and still didn't work out for Spieth. But yeah, that would be awful. But I've come to terms that it could happen, and I've accepted it. And my reasoning for not quite pulling the trigger is I still think driving the ball to course like this, he has the distance. Like, I'm not worried about his distance. Yeah. There's other players like Cantlay, for example, who are just driving it longer and straighter than he is. And he's doing a lot of the work with his short game. And historically, winners here have done the work off the tee and with the putter. And he's putting better for sure. Like, he putted better at RBC. RBC was one of his best putting events in a while. And that is a course where like solid putting can translate to a place like Wells Fargo. We've seen that plenty of times. But you really need a spike putting week here. Like, most of the winners have gained 7-8 strokes.
Yeah, putting. It's crazy.
He hasn't had a putting performance like that in a couple of years. And so he could do it. I just could, when you combine the driving with the putting, I was able to say to myself, like, I'm not going to do it. And I feel good about my reasoning for it. And if it happens, like, I was just wrong about like,
it's not like you were between like Jordan and Colin or something. It was between Jordan or Cantlay for you. And I think for what you're putting an emphasis on this week, I think it totally makes sense. I bet Cam Young. I got a 25-1 on a local. But I no one cares, but I can only get $50 down on it. Only to win like 1,200. So the rest will be on 20-1. So like, do I post it at 20-1 or 25? Let me know in the comments. It doesn't matter. Whatever you guys think is right. I bet Cam Young for the pure reason that the guy should have a win by now, and he's going to win an event soon. And this is kind of the spot for him that I've been eyeing and everyone has been eyeing, just with the way distance is so important here and how far he hits it off the tee. I really do work. Again, no confidence in my picks. The reason I think Cam Young is a horrible putter is literally because of the President's Cup. Like, it was literally watching him at the President's Cup and being like, holy fuck, this guy can't make a 4-footer for his life. Like, he literally couldn't. And now he's coming back here and you have to gain all these strokes putting. I don't feel great about it. I really don't. But it's a true, just like, I can't miss out and I have to bet him. But I am totally prepared for him missing every 4-footer this week. Like, I am more than prepared because I don't think that the President's Cup was like a fluke. Like, there was probably something to these greens. Now, they are different in September versus fucking May, like whatever, but I do think that, like, ball striking, there's no reason he can't contend. And I do think I like the fact that, it's going to be a little bit higher scoring and he doesn't have to make a zillion birdies, but he still has the ability to. So I'm willing to take the chance that he can maybe gain 3 strokes putting and gain like 15 strokes ball striking and just win. But I'm fine on Cam. I know you're a little bit upset with the number.
Yes, I would say, like, honestly, and I think this will make you feel somewhat good in the sense that I have more FOMO on Cam Young than I do on Spieth, and that's with
Okay.
like having 2 terrible losses with Spieth this year. Like, I will feel worse if Cam Young wins than if Spieth wins because Cam Young is such an obvious play. Like, it makes all the sense in the world, minus the putting part. And I
Minus the
just
putting.
couldn't get over, like, you know how I am with numbers. Like, I couldn't see 4 straight winners here with huge spike putting weeks, no matter how good they drive the ball,
Yep.
and pull the trigger on him at 20-1. And that's why I texted, I wish the books had the integrity to make Cam 30-1 where he belongs. And I would have been down at 30-1. But you're getting no discount basically at the current price for the fact that he'd have to have the best putting week of his career, most likely. And that can hit, and like, that is fine. That's just usually not the type of like bet that I place. But I will be disappointed if he wins because, like, anyone with a brain says Cam Young should play great at Wells Fargo.
Yeah, I really do think that he will play well, and I'm willing to take a shot on him. And I'm not one to be like, oh, I really like. I think he's fine at the PGA. Like, it makes sense at the PGA as well. I think if you're good, like, I know Jeff has been big on it. Like, if you're gonna bet him at the PGA, like, bet him this wejust kind of have that insurance. He's not gonna win both, so you might as well see Hovland. Like, he makes all the sense in the world. I don't know. I mean, I think it's a very similar to a Cam Young situation where it's like it makes all the sense in the entire world. He finished 3rd in his only appearance here. He has been contending more than a lot of golfers on tour. He's a better course fit than Spieth. I think the only thing is that he can't win big events and he doesn't show up in big events. And not that he doesn't show up, he doesn't win big events. So I think he's a better course fit than Spieth, so I'm leaning towards Hovland between those two. But I got to make a decision on that. I think also Spieth, again, this isn't a good course fit, and I think that's why no one had any thought of him playing well at the President's Cup. But I don't know if he should have won Bay Hill, like why he can't do it here. Like, I think that he has shown that he can do it on long, difficult courses. But next group, Colin.
Something really quick about Hovland?
Yeah.
Because I didn't have anywhere to Vic Lap Cantlay getting a new caddy, even though, like, deep down inside, I've felt that way for a long time. I want it on TIB here on the record so we can clip this in the future that I want a new caddy for Victor Hovland. New caddy for Victor Hovland.
He wins.
He's a major champion. I want that.
I love it. I agree with you. I don't like his caddy either. Colin, JT, Fitz, Sanjay. I don't think any of these guys are winning this week. None of these guys do it for me. The thing with Sunday Tracker, it's like, it's friendly banter. It's like not a real thing. Like, I'm chill with the guy. I think multiple people run the account, and like there's like one guy that like comes at me because I didn't go to DM him, but I just looked because I knew he DM'd before. And he was like, yo, I'm sorry about that. like someone else like was running
Oh,
it at the
shit.
time. So there's some like, there's some stuff going on. No beef to Sanjay. He's an amazing golfer. He's an extremely consistent golfer. I'm sure he'll finish T7 this week. I just don't think he's been contending enough to win. Fitz absolutely not winning. And Colin and JT, easy pass on those guys for me. So that group I'm good with.
Yeah, I'm good too. I would say purely on course fit. I actually like Fitz. It's
Yeah, he's a
again, he
great
hits
course
it,
fit.
he drives it great and he putts, but he only wins at courses where there's like a magical backstory
Yeah,
to hit
yeah, he
that.
is
So
now.
unless he's like camped nearby at Wells Fargo before, we don't have the narrative
Yeah,
for that. But if I
I think
hear like after
yeah.
Friday that there's some backstory that we didn't know about him and Charlotte, North Carolina,
Charlotte, North
I will
Carolina.
be disappointed because
Yeah,
we need to build that into the models with
yeah.
Fitz. But if there's a
No,
backstory,
that's huge.
he's on the card.
Yeah, I didn't get to talk about Fitz. Him winning RBC, like it made sense. He was really bad, and then he had one good start, and then he won. That's kind of tough to predict, but I know a lot of people were on it. Day, I'm finally giving up on him, and I don't have any sort of like, oh, like he's gonna fuck me. Like I don't think he's capable of winning. I don't think he's gonna win. He's not gonna win. I'm not paying 30-1 for him. No beef to anyone that bets him. I'm just done with Jason Day, and I really have no fear of kind of missing out there.
Yeah, I'm good on Day as well. He gained infinity strokes putting when he won here. He was on a crazy putting hot streak when he won here. He's putting okay, but nowhere near that. So I agree. It was a pass for me.
So you've been talking about this guy for quite some time. I'm lucky enough to have bet him top point scorer at the President's Cup. So, I'm like I've thought of Burns here before, but he's your guy, he's your pick, he's the winner this week in your mind. Driver putter makes all the sense in the world. What is the case for Sammy B, your guy?
Yeah, he really is my guy. I think he's won 2 of the last 3 times that I've bet him. So we have a great track record together. He is without a doubt my favorite golfer simply from how profitable he has been versus every other golfer that I've ever bet. And yeah, my goal this week is to find guys who have great carry distance and putt the ball well
Yep.
and can get hot on Bermuda greens. And that's Sam Burns. And then you see him, he comes out at 35-1 and he's won 12% of his tour starts over the last 2 years. And, 35-1 gets him like 3% chance to win. That's the Sam Burns story. And that's what he does. Like he, for whatever reason, no matter how successful he's been is at winning golf tournaments, he doesn't get priced like a guy who has the track record of winning that he does. That's why he's my favorite golfer to bet. That's why for a long time he was an auto bet for me above like 25-1. He's kind of struggled earlier in the year, and I had to back off my auto bet Burn strategy. And now I've been a little bit more strategic about where I want to target him. And this has been a spot that after match play, I was like, all right, what's next for Sammy B? Like Wells Fargo makes sense. And so been looking forward to it. And hopefully if he wins again, like
you're enrolling in his church in Louisiana.
Yeah, like he becomes one of my favorite people in the world, like family included, like doesn't even matter. So I'm optimistic for his chances this week, but even if he misses the cut, no hard feelings, no beef at all. These are the places he plays Sammy B.
Yeah.
Doesn't work out here, we'll probably be back on board to like Colonial or something like that.
I'm down. You love betting. You're a repeat winner, so I'm sure you'll be on him at Colonial. I bet Sam Burns. I bet him at 33-1. You convinced me. Driver putter makes all the sense in the world. He's won 2 starts, within months of each other before. So I'm all in. I think he's one of the best course fits this week, and he's at a great number, which I don't think you can say about a lot of people. Ricky, he'll finish top 10. Boys with the Ricky tracker. I hope he plays well. I'll probably play him in DraftKings in my one lineup. He's 40-1. I don't, particularly think that's that egregious of a number, but I'm definitely not betting him. I was on this guy at RBC at 80-1. He's your guy, kind of, I guess. Like you kind of fell in love with him at the Travelers. You bet Thiegs this week at 50-1. I don't I don't get the course fit, like no beef, but what is your case for Thiegs this week?
I would like. There's a difference of him being my guy versus Sammy B. I just want to get that on record. Like
Yes, there's a
Sammy
difference.
B is
You
my
like
guy
the Gala
because like
because he waves at people at golf
I like I
tournaments.
hit Sam B. Like I've got a great sense of like when he's going to play well. I love him for that reason. Teagues is just fun to watch golf. Like that is why I like him. But yeah, he's a player that has the distance off the tee. Again, can spike with the putter, can spike on the approach play too. You look at his results
Yeah.
at, we have a new thing on the site. Check out the site, vinceherricks.com, that shows like where top players who have finished top 10 at a course, like what other courses do they finish top 10 at? And some of the courses that rise up towards the top of those lists are places like Farmers, Travelers, API, place like that. He fucked on approach at like most of those places. So he has the right like skill set to play here. I think the course fit is there. And then just like purely strokes gain narrative, similar with Cam Young, but now like we get him at double the price. This is a place where like young, talented golfers who are going to become bigger names have broken out. We got Rory's first win here. We got Ricky's first win here. We got Max's first win here. A guy like a Cam Young or a Teagues kind of getting their first win in a meaningful event this week, I think is certainly possible. And for me, it was just like, okay, Teagues is a better putter than Cam. He has more upside on approach. He's unbelievable short game. Like they're kind of the same likelihood to win for me this week.
Yeah.
And so I felt better with Team Teagues. And like you said, I really like him. So I would love to be involved with his first win. And he needs to get a win to go up 1 to 0.5 over PGA Tour wins against Davis Riley.
Yeah. All those things I understand. I like Thiegs. I'm hashtag Team Thiegs. Like he's a good guy. And I wish you the best. I'm curious. I hope it's this week for you. He needs a win.
You were on him. Like, do you have concern if he wins? Are you going to be upset after being on him?
No,
at RBC? He played pretty good at RBC. You're
no,
fine.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't be because I don't think it's a Thieves course. But
what do you in this range? And honestly, I don't know who you've bet in this range, but a guy that I was pretty interested in this week, still interested in him a little bit. Tyrrell Hatton. I think Hatton is live this week. What do you think about Tyrrell? But like, yeah.
No, I think he peaked. I think
he
would. I think he would have gotten his win. I don't think he's gonna win. I think that he peaked. I think he peaked at 18 of the Players Championship, and like that's it. Like that was like Lowry peaked when like he got up and down on like hole 10 at the RBC. And it's just like downhill from there. He just missed his chance. So I'm good on that. This kind of range, like I really like Keegan. Anytime it's a long, difficult golf course, I'm gonna eye Keegan. I'm gonna play him a DraftKings first round leader, like easy money. I'm not gonna bet him because he's most likely not gonna win. Might toss the top 20 on him. Might bet
still feel good about him at the PGA. Are we still?
Oh, fuck!
Are we still good there? Or what's
I forgot about that. Yeah, I have 100-1 at the PGA. I think you probably get that right now. I don't even think, but I have it with the each way. No, Keegan. I hope he misses the cut. Actually, I hope he misses the cut. I want no kind of pressure on him to perform well at Oak Hill because he's going to play well at Oak Hill. Certainly. Yeah. Like there's no doubt about it. So I'd like to see some form, but we'll see. I'm okay with it. You bet Taylor Moore this week, 80-1. Hashtag not a good course fit. If you know, you know. Taylor Moore, long, difficult Bermuda golf courses. Are you factoring in his political views to the pick? I know North Carolina was a red state in 2020. Is there any kind of factoring in there for Taylor Moore?
Did not factor that into the models. I
Okay.
will admit, but that it's a fair point. What I want to say about Taylor Moore is I'm considering him potentially as the next Sam Burns. I want to like obviously we've got the Valspar win. Check the box right there. Step one. Look at his skill set. Good driver, distance, excellent putter on Bermuda. So I think I've kind of gotten to the point where, and I was very disappointed to leave him off the card at Valspar. Like I gave him a strong look there.
Total bad beat.
Bad beat. Horrible beat.
Bad beat.
And so basically going forward, now that I've like done this connection in my
and they're
head,
also both from like random ass southern states.
Random ass southern states. Exactly.
Super religious, probably.
I think Burns has played golf with Trump, so like they kind of like all go together. So due to that, if I've got Sam B in my mind as a good play, I just now have to like they basically are a tandem now. They go together. So when it's Sammy B week, it's also Taylor Moore week and vice versa. So yeah, I like him this week, and I was surprised at his odds. I thought they were completely fair. Like they're generous, I would say, on him.
Yeah.
I expect him to be like 40, 50 to 1, honestly, with how he's been playing lately, plus his win, plus like what he does well. I like the price on Taylor Moore.
Love it. I'll bet him first round later.
Yeah, that's probably a better play.
I'm down for a first round later. Got to see the tee time and everything. I haven't really, the weather looks pretty
totally fine.
Totally valid, like pretty normal. So the only other person I bet, I wrote him up early in the week. That he was like my Sunday night play. He's my guy officially. Like there's no doubt about it. I bet Hayden Buckley. I bet him at 130 to 1. You can get him at 180, but I wanted the each way on him. Hayden Buckley's gonna play well this week. There's no doubt in my mind about it. This is an excellent course for him. I think he's like top 5 in strokes gained off the tee in this field, which is really impressive for a guy like him. And he's playing really good golf. 2 straight top 10s. Played well at the Valero. I was on him, no big deal. And then he played really well at RBC, which, again, I don't think is a course that is absolutely perfect for him. He's a talented golfer. He almost won a PGA Tour event this year. He's had a lot of good results, top 20 at the U.S. Open. Hayden Buck is going to fuck this week. Placement top 10, first round leader. Like, I feel it with Hayden this week. He's going to play well. So I'm looking forward to Hayden.
I like it. And he's in a lot of ways a similar like level of golfer of Taylor Moore. And that like, if he had won Sony, they both have one win at like a not terrible event, but not solid event, some good results, the type of player who can play well against these type of fields. I'm down.
And again, Willie G and Bram, they both play well. I just think that they're playing decent golf. Will Gordon, great call last week. He played great. He led the field in driving distance.
Every hole he was like dead. Like like, on the tracker, it was like every hole like 350 dead down the center. 330.
Yeah, that was pretty dope. Yeah, no, I mean, Jer's running about Willie G. I'm playing DraftKings this week. Like we got like maybe like a Ricky, Will G, Taylor Moore, like Rory. Like we're gonna play some DFS this week, even though I have no money. We're gonna do it. So I think that does it for Wells. We gave our guys that we like. There is a DP World Tour event this week, the Italian Open at the Rome course. I wish that it was at better time. I love watching the DP. I got back from the bar like 2 last Saturday. Put it on. Was watching for a little bit. Was pretty enjoyable. What is this course like? Like who are the guys to kind of target? Who does this favor? Is this a short plotters? Is this a bombers course? Is this a birdie fest? Is this a mid-scoring event? Like, what is your read on Marco Simone Golf Course?
Yeah, it's actually, I would say, very similar to Quail. Like, they have a lot of the same characteristics. The winners, they've played 2 Italian Opens there, both of them in the fall, like later in the season, which is when it usually is. But because of the Ryder Cup, they moved it. And the winners, the first year was Nikolai, which obviously we know what he does. Hits it really far.
That's why he's the favorite.
Yeah, that's why he's the favorite.
And that was the guy that played in Mexico last week.
That was the Hoygaard that played in Mexico last week. Yeah. Cool. So he obviously hits it far, and he's got a reasonably solid short game. Like, it ebbs and flows, but he's not terrible around the greens in putting. And then last year was Bobby Mack, who also hits it reasonably far and has a solid short game. And then the other thing that's interesting is, like, as you know, on the DP, random dudes pop up on like a weekly basis, and you get all sorts of crazy stuff going on. The 2 years that have been here, the runners up have been Fleetwood, Meronk, and Fitzpatrick. So, like, the solid players have played well at this course, and it's because it's set up obviously for the Ryder Cup. Like, this is a legit venue. It's pretty wide off the tee, but it's long, and the greens are reasonably.
What is the yardage? What is the?
I genuinely don't know what the exact. Like, honestly, on the DP, like, we get meters involved and shit. Like, a lot of the times, like,
I'm not even gonna try.
Tough. So, but yeah, so big hitters have played well here, but you also got to have a short game, because, like, if you miss these greens, they're tough. So, which is interesting, like, not just in the context of this week at the Italian Open and like and betting on it, but what's interesting to me is, like, Europe won the last Ryder Cup in Europe, obviously, at Le Golf National, which is a plotter's course to the extreme, point, like, very, very much a plotter's course. And so it's interesting to me that this is the venue for the Ryder Cup. Like, I don't see how they set it up in a way that doesn't play into the hands of, like, what team like it is in some ways like a Whistling Straits type of golf course in it's got those, like, characteristics. So
it would be like trying to turn, like, Quail or Whistling into a short plotters.
Yeah, or like not just short plotters, but, like, how do you emphasize the driving accuracy that, like, eliminates the distance for the US? So, like, it'll be interesting to see this week, because I assume what they're going to do is set it up as close as possible to what they kind of want it to be for the Ryder Cup, because it allows them to, like, test it out and see, you know, how players play in those conditions. So my opinion could change, obviously, on how they play this week, but you just look at the winners here, and it seems like those are the type of guys that A, we want to bet at the Italian Open, and B, benefits the US at the Ryder Cup.
So we're going two different directions at the very top. You said it last week, and you were just like, you screenshotted the guys 30 to below, and you were just like, one of these guys is winning. That almost, like, looked good, like, for, like, you know, Friday night, like, was counting my money. Do you feel the same way this week? Other than, like, do you, like, I feel like in the DP, you should just bet good golfers, because I just feel like good golfers win. Like, that's not even a take. I'm not even going to, like, kind of die on that take. But, like, I feel better. Like, you're way easier to get a sweat out of a guy 30-1 below than you are on the PGA Tour.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, like, if you let's use Wells Fargo like an example. If you bet 3 guys in the 20s this week in Wells Fargo, there's a good chance that none of them even come close to winning.
Yeah.
If you bet 3 guys on the DP and you, like, have any knowledge of, like, what you're doing, you're gonna have a guy who, like, going into Sunday has a legitimate chance.
That's valid.
And so for this week, and usually it's kind of nice, because, like, if a guy comes over from the PGA Tour, like if Fleetwood shows up, I love when Fleetwood shows up on the DP, because he's probably not going to win, and he's going to be priced at like 10-1, which means you get all the other guys like in the 20s. But this week, there's basically 6 guys who they've priced them all at 20-1. So you've got both the Højgaards, Perez, Meronk, Bobby Mack, defending champ, and then
Rasmus.
Yeah, so Rasmus, Nikolai, and then Jordan Smith is like on the cusp, and that guy, we're not going to talk about it. But so you kind of have to either pick two of those guys and call that your card, or get one and then like go a little bit further down the board into the high 20s or 30s, where there's still, like, again, guys who will give you a sweat for sure. But of those guys at the top, for me, it was a throwaway on Rasmus, because he just, like, he was injured and he's played a couple DP events since then, hasn't been sharp. And Smith, just like, I can't bet Smith anymore. And so, but then of those other 4 guys, Nikolai, Bobby Mack, Meronk, and Perez, all of them have finished first, second, or third at this course. So it's like,
really?
Yeah. Nikolai and Bobby Mack win.
Yes.
Perez was third last year, I think, and Meronk was second the year before. So, like, you've got the best players, and all of them have played great at this course.
Got it.
Like, it's so hard to know what to do.
God damn it. I don't know now because we're both on George Campillo. We bet George Campillo. The guy won, maybe about a month 2 ago. He has a top 5 at this event, and he's showing up every single week. So I like Campillo. I'm going to bet him. I bet him. I said I was going to bet Vic Perez. He is a winner. He can win DP World Tour events. Like, I don't think he's someone that, like, is just going to fold under pressure. He has a third place at this event. He's like he's just playing like normal ass golf. He was kind of the one I liked. I know you're on Meronk. You said driver short game with this guy. Is that valid?
I just think Meronk is like, I mean, his last 2 wins on DP were the Irish Open and the Australian Open. Not saying like it's just because it's the Italian Open, but those are solid wins for like the level of tour. But then you've got Perez as well. I think is totally fair because like his win in Abu Dhabi is of that same quality, like on the DP World Tour, and probably a little bit better. I have no strong, like, to me, it's picking between like one guy who I think is 26%, then I've got 25%, 25%, 24%. Like, it is tough. And what I would recommend if people want to bet the DP this week, because
you should.
It's the Ryder Cup course. Like, it is a cool course to watch. Like, it's going to be a good tournament to take in on Sunday morning. And they're finally back in Europe. Like, they've been playing in Asia, so it's really hard to watch. Like, this will be on. They'll probably be finishing up on Sunday, like 10 a.m. Like, this is going to be.
Oh, really? It's better. Yeah, it's better time zones.
Yeah, we're back. It's like 6 hours ahead or something like that.
Okay, sweet.
So they're going to be finishing up like in the morning. Just pick 2 of the guys.
Yeah.
At 20-1. Like, I'm not going to tell you which ones to pick because it's literally you could pick any of the 4 and they'll probably be in the mix. I would be surprised if like at least a couple of them aren't seriously in the mix down the stretch. Based on, like I said, they're the best players in the field and they've all played good at this course.
Why? I know I didn't convince you on Campillo. So what made you play Campillo?
I can't, like, he's not going to win. Like, I'm down for Campillo.
Like, he'll top 5.
Yeah, like he has been. This stretch that he's on, like the last 4 weeks, he's been like top 10 every week, and he got that win at the Kenya Open. Is the best he's ever played. Like, this is the best stretch of golf of his career. So, like, purely from the fact that we know those things come to an end, and like it's when you finally jump on board that like things go wrong. I almost bet him last week because I was like, damn, he's playing the best golf he's ever played. Like, maybe it carries over here. Didn't bet him. He was never really that close to winning, but he finished tied for 3rd again. So now I'm down to get on board, but it just feels like when reality strikes on him, and I'm going to regret not just picking 2 of the guys at 20-1, but it allows you to like open up the card and bet more guys by going with Campillo, and he can win. He's won like 4 times in the DP World Tour. He's playing great. So like he's closer to the 20-1 guys than he is priced at 35-1. So that's why I'm down for
There's value there. It's plus EV. Like Campillo's plus EV. Okay.
But I want to be clear to the listeners that like if you want to lock in a sweat for the DP this week, Campillo could fuck you. Like, just be on the lookout for that.
I think I have to bet Guido just because one time Jared said, like one time, like people think I'm Italian, like I've gotten that before, so like I kind of have a little bit of like a nationality connection to him, and like one time I was like, oh, I think I'm gonna bet Guido this week. And then Jared was like, I'll give you 100-1 on him. He's not gonna win. And he was like leading after 54 holes. So I can't miss out.
I gotta say on that I was genuinely nervous. I was rooting against Guido solely because I was worried about what would happen in the group chat if Jers had to pay you out 100-1 winner, or what even was going to happen. So That was an eventful week for the group chat. He's
Yeah.
your guy now. What I was surprised was, obviously everybody knows Guido at Torrey, and it was Torrey, right? That he was he fourth or something crazy? He was fourth.
Yeah, I think he played well at the U.S. Open.
He was fourth in the U.S. Open, and I think it was Torrey. Last year, he was T14. Like this dude, or the year before, he has 2 top 20 U.S. Open finishes. Like that. For a guy who is literally on most weeks on the DP World Tour, like 100 to 1. like last week in Korea.
That's like being 300 to 1 on the PGA Tour.
Yeah, at least. Like it's insane that he has 2 quality US Open finishes. And like he won the French Open, and he tends to just like when it's a big tournament, he just like he just shows up.
And it's a fucking Italian Open.
Yeah. So it's like it's as big as it gets for Guido. Like I can't imagine, besides like winning a major, I've got to think that winning the Italian Open at the Ryder Cup venue is as important of an event as he'll play the whole year. Shot 63 in the final round in Korea. Like,
that was a tough course too.
Yeah, he was like, let me get it dialed for Italy. So yeah, I like Guido, but he's very likely to also miss the cut and shoot like 80 in both rounds. But that's
what is the PGA Tour comp for Guido?
So we need a guy who's won a couple times and shows up in majors.
He's won.
He has 2 DP wins. Yeah.
Oh, and were that big prices?
I don't know what he was. I think at the French Open he was probably like 60s or 70s. Okay. But like he just misses so many cuts and is like so inconsistent that like I don't even know how many top 5 finishes.
He's like Kurt
Kitayama. Yeah. That actually is a solid.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, because like he's
won and he's like microwave mad. It's either like top 5 or a miscut.
Yeah.
Boom.
I like it.
Love it. Okay, I'm pretty proud of myself for that one. I'm pretty good. Like we're grinding. Is this the best the DP gets?
So that's like I was like I didn't think about it until I was like doing research for both Wells and Italy, and I was like looking at the DP or the PGA field, and I was like, Fleetwood, for example, is someone who you would usually expect to play in this like caliber of event. Like I think he was in the like last year at the Italian Open, Rory played, Rahm played, I think.
I don't think Rahm played.
Rahm didn't play, but Fitz played, Fleetwood played. Like all the top Europeans were there for the most part. And so they must have thought like, okay, that's the week I'm going to like tune up for the Ryder Cup, and I'm not going to play it in May, because I guess that does make sense too, because it's the conditions of the course. But that led me to like be thinking about it for the DP right now. This is probably the best that it gets. Like,
are there any bigger events coming up? Like,
there'll be the British Masters in a couple of weeks, or maybe even next week, which is usually a solid event. But like, there's no real events I think that'll draw over like the top European players. Like what we saw at the Japan tournament, for example, like Lucas Herbert showed up and was like 18 to 1, and it wasn't like he eased to victory, won in a playoff, but like he was clearly the guy to beat.
Yeah.
After the first round. And so like guys pop up from time to time, but I just think it's like without the big names that are on Live now, this really is like the core of the DP. All the guys playing this week is effectively like the core of the DP World Tour, which is not great for the DP World Tour.
Yeah, I like, was it better last year? Or is this like just kind of it?
I would say last year it seemed like, and this could just be my memory being weird, that like there was more times where guys would like pop, like Fleetwood would pop up, or even like Louis, for example, being in the field. He like, there's guys that I can remember because when they're in the field, they're usually like 12 to 1 or 10 to 1. And it's always like, you know, Louis shows up, he's 10 to 1. You're like, well, this doesn't make any sense, but like it sticks in your mind. And so it might have been a little bit better than last year, but then I really do think like losing the core guys like a Westwood or a Sergio or a Poulter, like there was enough guys that on a weekly basis, like one or two of them in a normally like a little bit bigger tournament would show up. And now basically like at this tournament without Liv, you would expect all the big European players.
Yeah. Because The thing about the DP is that like my two best friends, like I consider them casual golf fans. Like if I showed them the odds board for the DP World Tour, they wouldn't know a single golfer. Like straight up. They like none of these guys are like known. Like unless you like follow golf pretty heavily, like you don't know who they are. So I think that's got a little bit tough, even though my friends do know who Yannick Paul and Rosner are. We talked about the two events. I'm very happy there's no live golf this week. Like I can feel good about only betting on two tours. You have some exciting news. You have opened up your website to a paying subscription for people that want to join. So I know a lot of people that listen to this pod are also a fan of yours, obviously. So I want to give you the opportunity to kind of pitch your case and let people know what you're doing.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll give the pitch, and then I don't forget I want to talk about live quickly. We got to talk Taylor Gooch just because 2 wins in a row. Like let's have a quick chat about it. But yeah, so obviously I've been doing this stuff for a while now and have wanted to turn it into more of a business. Like that's why I started doing it in the first place. And so moved a reasonable amount of stuff to paid starting this week, and have a couple different membership options for both annual and kind of weekly subscribers. But at the same time, trying to make still like very interesting stuff available for free. Like we put a model builder up there this week across a variety of different time frames. Like I think there's still plenty of stuff for people on from a free perspective, and we're just getting started. So like over time, this is going to evolve. And my experience in startups tells me that if like you don't look back in 6 months, a year, and say that like what you were doing, both from like your product and strategy a year ago wasn't terrible, you haven't been moving forward fast enough. So super excited to get started. And there was some people who had like pushed back about certain things like the pricing and whatnot. And to those people, if they're listening, like I hear you, and we're obviously taking everybody's feedback and respect it. And there's so many people who like had so much positive things to say and feedback and stuff as well. Like it was super awesome. And so we're going to continue to hopefully make things that are interesting to people and have a variety of different options for them, and super excited about it. And it was just really cool, all the positive feedback. And it's also really cool when like there's definitely a lot more people who subscribed than were complaining like loudly, which is always exciting. So
yeah, and I think that people would only be complaining if they really enjoyed your content and what you put out. So I think you have a lot to be proud of. Here at TIB Incorporated, we support you. Of course, we run a tight ship around here, with the layoffs and kind of media lately. There's been a lot of kind of publications and stuff kind of trying to stir up what's going on at TIB Incorporated. But I just want to make sure shareholders are clear that like we are all good here. Taylor Gooch, like top 10 player in the world.
Yeah, like
you like Gooch, like you're.
I've always liked Gooch because like anyone who has like certain stats that like pop versus most of the rest of the players in the world, I'm always like, I respect that. And Gooch on approach is always been like legit, and you've always expected him to like do great stuff. And he's played solidly in the majors last year. Like he had some solid results. He has the one PGA Tour win. He was one of those guys when he went to live where people were like, that's kind of like lame. It
was weird.
It was like he was on his ascendance of like what he was going to be. And I think people were excited about that. And to win, it's like, we know what it is. It's live. Like everybody can have their opinions, but at the same time, like we saw the quality of players at the Masters and like to win twice in a row and do it like impressively on two different kind of styles of golf course too. I'll admit I didn't watch a ton of it, but I watched because I was watching Korea last week. So I turned on live because it was on at the same time, obviously. And like he was battling down the stretch with Brooks and Sergio. And honestly, like it's pretty compelling. It was like a pretty compelling watch. Like I was watching both the DP and live simultaneously. And of course, there's better players on live. So what I'm saying is,
live is like crack cocaine, and the DP World Tour is like weed. Like those broadcasts could not be 100%. More different. Like the DP World Tour broadcasts are just like people playing golf, and like there's like some people talking. Like it's there couldn't be a more different experience between those two.
That's very true because, like, I really like the DP most of the time because, like, it is great. It's a great watch. Like, the announcers are entertaining. Like, they're very knowledgeable about golf. It's not like too much like hyperbole and shit. They're just kind of called how it is. But and then obviously, yeah, I think that's one of the best comparisons I think you could ever possibly imagine for those two things. But like, what do we think about Gooch going forward? Like, why wouldn't he be live at the PGA?
No, I don't think there's any reason why he wouldn't. I think he's probably a better fit at the US Open or like the Open Championship. Yeah. I don't really not basing that off much. I don't know. I mean, I think he can definitely play well at the PGA. I think there couldn't be a better thing in the entire fucking world for a Greg Norman and Liv than Taylor Gooch contending at the PGA Championship. Like, that would literally be the greatest thing in the entire world.
What do you
for
think
Liv if that happened?
So, like, going into the Masters, people were out on Liv. I would say that, like, would you agree that the general narrative was like, these guys suck and have no chance for the most part? Like,
yeah, and I think most people discounted Brooks's chance. Like, there was probably the most talk about how Brooks would play, given that he just won and he came in.
Yeah, he was like the face and was the one getting like the. So do you think at the PGA, like, obviously Brooks's future now is like crazy low. Do you think it's going to be like a flip where now everybody's like, oh, like Liv guys are good, like we're in for Liv, or like, because it's so interesting, like things flip so crazily. Like, people were so out on Liv, and I could easily see now at the PGA, like, nobody saying anything about Liv and being like, yeah, we're all in on
yeah, I mean, I think there are some people that like want to just bet Liv guys, but I don't really think that there's like value on them. My take on Liv and how it pertains to golf betting is that Brooks Koepka at 20-1 is a horrible fucking bet. The last 3 majors that he played in and had a chance to win, he absolutely shit himself on Sunday. I know that this guy has 4 majors, but it has now been 3 times, and even Bethpage, he just had such a big lead that he just hasn't been himself on Sunday at majors. I'm sure he'll be there. I don't think Brooks is going to win a major, and at 20-1, I think it's ridiculous. Just, again, contending is better than not contending. I'm with you, but he just hasn't been Brooks on Sunday at majors in quite some time. So I couldn't be more out on somebody at 20-1 for the upcoming PGA.
Yeah, I would say so. I've got him at 55 at the US Open. Like, I don't have anything on at the PGA, so I'll be on the sideline for that. And the reason was because, like, at the beginning of the year, I felt good that Brooks was like on the comeback trail, and I was like, okay, Brooks at the US Open, like that's number one of the majors. That's where he's best. And obviously, his PGA record is solid too. But I agree that, like, the value that was there at the Masters is gone at 20-1. But at the same time, like, there's only a handful of players who can win a major. Yep. And we know Brooks can mix it up at the majors. So there's definitely worse bets that will be placed on PGA.
I'll place worse bets than that. But yeah, I think he has no chance. But maybe he could have a kind of redemption story and kind of put it together.
You don't think PGA, New York vibe, like there's a narrative.
I don't think him like winning at the Cock, like in Long Island, like has any sort of correlation to Oak Hill. I mean, I think Bethpage and Oak Hill are like obviously going to be a pretty popular comp there. But yeah, I'm going to put it out. Oh, so I'm going to put out how many, like, Brooks on Sunday at his last 4 at like Bethpage, Harding Park, Kiowa, and the Masters. Like, he's probably made like 20 bogeys and like 4 birdies in those 4 rounds. So that is going to be a sick tweet. Everyone just wait on that.
You're gonna be tallying it up, and you're gonna have that ready for us.
Yeah, and then he's gonna be like contending, and everyone's gonna like quote it, and then he's probably gonna win. But yeah, that's gonna be a good tweet. So watch out for that. Appreciate everyone checking in and listening tonight. We'll be back next week for the Byron Nelson. We're having Mr. Byron Nelson on himself. Jeff McGinnis is coming on, so we're hyped for that. Spieth's winning. Byron.
Last time I was on was Riv, and I think I said something similar at the end of that podcast. We never even come close to hitting when I'm on the podcast. Like we've done like our players usually suck when I'm on.
Burns almost won Hero and Champ almost won Mexico. So I think it's a little bit too small. Yeah, we've been horrible at Genesis and BMW. We were both horrible.
Yeah, 50-50. So it could work out for us this week.
Well, big event.
But what I said last time I was on here was that you said in this exact same spiel that Jers was coming on for Honda last time. And I said to people, tail Jers at Honda because that's his home course. He knows the course, and Jers is going to hit a winner at Honda. I would say the same about Jeff at TPC Craig's Ranch, like, right? Because he's tweeting about playing there he's
played it a bunch of times,
a ton of times. So I mean, KH is winning a third straight.
What number would you bet him at?
KH?
Yeah,
anything in over 100.
What?
You don't think KH will? What odds do you think his odds will be?
Be like fucking 50 to 1.
He was 100 and something last year.
He was like 80 last year.
No, he was like
KH is literally going to be like 50 to 1.
You think KH will? He's been. What has he done?
I don't.
Like
you bet him at Sony.
He was hot there for a while, but like maybe
He did nothing last year coming into it.
Yeah, no, and that's what I'm saying. His odds were high. Hold on, we got to find out what his odds were. He's done nothing. He was like bad. Okay. He's gone 41st, 23rd, 19th in his last 3 starts. Last year going into Byron, he had 3 missed cuts, 25, 25th at Wells, and then 1 Byron. No, he's 100. Like the numbers I'm looking at, and these were usually like where he goes off. So he probably opened higher than this. There's 100 to 1 last year. He probably is lower this year because, like, I assume the field's going to be worse, and it's his 3rd in a row. So, but that's what I'm saying. If he's 100 to 1 or above again,
no, I think the buy price is like 60.
You're on KH at 60 for the 3-peat.
That's the most plus EV bet I've ever heard in my life.
What? So you're saying if he's like, where would you if you were a bookmaker at next week's?
I've seen
Byron Nelson. You're putting him at 60 to 1. All right.
How can you not?
I agree.
But that would be the dumbest thing books have done in the entire history if they put him at above 80 to 1 in the shit field.
Unless they're saying there's no chance in a million billion years this guy wins again. Let's put his odds up high and cash as many like losing tickets.
No, I'm telling you right now, he's gonna be 60 to 1 next week.
Wow. No,
and I'm probably like the card is like Spieth KH.
If he wins the 3rd straight,
no, because then next year, like everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, now I'll hop on." Like, no, you.
When he's going for his, what's he priced when he's going for his 4th consecutive?
Yeah,
he's like 20 to 1 that week.
Let me know. I'll tweet it out, but let me know your buy price. Like, at what price is KH and auto at Byron next?
Do a poll with like 50 or like 50, 75, 100 or something like like we need to know. Because I'm genuinely curious.
Everyone have a great night. We'll see you next week. Jeffson, the winner at Byron.